Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of this Sketchbook Time video. This one is a two-parter, so if you haven't seen part 1, you might want to pause this video and go back and watch that one first. It will be the previous video on my channel, so it should be easy to find. For those of you who left really lovely comments on that video, thank you so much. I've been going through them and answering as many of them as I can. I'm going to do another little answering session later, but it was really lovely to hear about what you're working on when you have my videos on in the background, and it was interesting to hear your thoughts on this piece that I'm working on as well. So I really appreciate the comments. I always love reading them, and I'm answering as many of them as I possibly can as time allows. So thank you for that. It's not essential if you don't want to watch part 1. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, you can just watch this video and you'll see how this progresses from the stage it's at now. So basically what I'm doing is I'm working in a Pith supply sketchbook. These are really lovely sketchbooks. I think Pith are quite a new company. I think they've only been around for maybe a year and a half, something like that. The sketchbooks are made in the UK and they're really lovely quality. I love the paper. It's a slightly off-white paper, so it's kind of ivory. Really works well for mixed media. So I'm throwing a bit of everything at this painting or drawing or whatever you want to call it. I'm using coloured pencil, Acrylic Gouache, this one, I'm gonna just show you, the Holbein Acrylic Gouache, and I'm using lots of different types of coloured pencils, including Caran d'Ache Luminance, the Holbein Artist coloured pencils, Derwent Lightfast, Derwent Drawing, the Polychromos pencils by Faber Castell, and also I am using, let's just pick up a couple of these, I'm using the Faber Castell Pitt Artist brush pens and the Albrecht Dürer watercolour markers as well. So yeah, there's a little bit of everything. I've also kind of been adding some acrylic marker. I only did a little bit of that, and some Neocolor crayon. So yeah, it's a bit of everything. But this is mixed media for you. When you work in mixed media, you can just throw everything at it. And also the Faber Castell Pitt Graphite matte pencils. So these are a graphite pencil, but they're not shiny. So they're really great for working on something like this. I did the little lines in this field with that pencil. I might use that for something else later. I have a selection of 6 here. Actually, I even have a 10B and a 12B, which I think might be quite interesting to use. But we will see. I'm just going to go with basically whatever I feel in that moment. I didn't have a super clear vision of what this piece is going to look like. I had an idea. I wanted to work on something with those gorgeous patchwork fields separated with little hedges and groups of trees. This is a very English style of landscape. It's a landscape that I'm very familiar with, and I'm not using a reference photo for this one. I'm just doing this entirely from my imagination and memory. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. But I really just wanted to have fun. This is the first piece I'm working on in this sketchbook, so it's important that I enjoy it and get the sketchbook off to a good start. So I think let's just continue. I'm thinking that I might work on this field here next. It doesn't necessarily mean that these fields are done, because I need to add certain things to them. But I think that we might go with a gorgeous, what's this pencil here? This is Sea Fog. This is the Holbein Artist coloured pencil. I'm just going to sharpen that because it hasn't got much of a point. So I think I'm just going to fill this field in. Loosely with this gorgeous pinky, violety, lilac kind of colour. By the way, one of my viewers on the previous video, she told me a little bit about herself, because I mentioned how funny it is when you think about it, that I'm sitting here drawing in my studio, and it's basically being seen by thousands of people around the world, most of whom are strangers to me. And so she introduced herself and told me a little bit about her life, and it sounded wonderful, actually. She lived in like a cabin by the lake, I believe, and had 2 goats and a dog, and it sounded like a beautiful life, and I felt like I knew a little bit more about who she was. She wasn't just like a profile picture and a name, and that actually was really nice. And so I kind of thought it would be fun in this video, if you feel like it, if any of you haven't introduced yourself before, maybe you could leave me a comment just down below saying, I don't know, tell me a little bit about yourself. It doesn't have to be anything too in-depth if you don't want. It doesn't have to be too long. It could just be where you live and what you like, or what you do for a living, or what your interests are. I don't know, whatever you feel like sharing with me, just share a little something. Maybe it could be, I don't know, 3 facts about you or something like that. It could just be fun to do that. And actually, even if you have spoken to me a bit before, leave a comment below introducing yourself, because I kind of think it's nice for the other members of the community. I know that a lot of you actually read the comments and you respond to other people in the comments as well. And I love that, because I do feel like we're building a really nice community. So yeah, maybe you could introduce yourself and you could all get chatting to each other and find out a little bit more about each other. I think it would be really nice. So if you feel like doing that, please do. It's great for me to find out more about my viewers, actually. I really, really love that, because then I feel like you're not strangers. And I do just get to know you a little bit better. So I'm just going over the top in places with the Luminance. This is the Caran d'Ache Luminance Sepia 10% pencil. For those of you who like to know and make a note of anything you like to add to your shopping list next time you're buying some art supplies, you just basically want to give this a little bit of texture. So I'm not being too precise when I'm filling it in. I'm kind of scribbling and just being quite loose, really. And by the way, do I get scared when I start a new sketchbook? Yes. I still get scared starting new sketchbooks. I get excited, but also find it a bit intimidating and a bit scary. Because when you start, it's kind of like, I want the first drawing to be really good. Well, I want all the drawings to be really good, truth be told, but the chances of that happening. Of course, you're going to have some mistakes, what you'd consider to be mistakes, or wondering whether to add something quite bright. Should we just, maybe we just add a little bit, maybe quite gently so it doesn't look too bright. I like the idea of this field looking quite pink, but I want it to have some depth, so that's why I'm layering the colours. But yeah, as I said in the other video, you just have to accept that sketchbooks are sketchbooks. They're places to experiment, and you know what? This piece isn't probably going to turn out exactly how I'd imagined it would when I started it, but that doesn't mean it can't be a good piece or can't be a worthwhile piece for me to work on. I always learn something whenever I'm drawing. Oh, I like this, actually. There you go. I've never layered these colours before, and I'm really liking this effect. I hope it's coming across on camera. At the end, when this piece is finished, I will actually hold it up so you can have a closer look at all of the textures and marks and the different materials I've used and so on. I need the, where's it gone? Is it this one? The Luminance Dark Indigo, because I really like this for adding these little hedges, these little borders between the fields. Like even with these, I'm trying not to be too precise. I think it gives it more of a natural feel. See, my tendency is to be so tight all the while, and I spoke about this in the other video as well. And I'm trying to sort of get over that a little bit, certainly when I'm working my sketchbook. Okay, do we want some lines on this field? Do you know, I don't know at the moment. I think what I'm going to do, my plan of action, fill in all of these fields in the way I'm doing here and here, because I haven't finished this one either. Just get the colours down, and then we're going to work on top of them, rather than trying to add the details kind of as I go along. I think this could be a good idea. This is quite a large sketchbook. It's kind of A4 in size, so a double spread is like pretty much A3. And because my desk is so full of stuff, I'm finding it hard to fit it on. Right, with this one, which colour do I want to use? You see, I had been, if you watched the other video, I'd been filling in some of the, I think we might go with this. I'd been filling in some of the fields initially with pen and then working over the top in pencil and Neocolor and paint. I like these pens just because you can fill in a large area relatively quickly. They give sort of an interesting base texture and colour to work on top of. Feels like I've had a couple of these feel like they're kind of running out. But that is also allowing for some interesting marks. Yeah, this really is running out. I don't know whether I work more slowly, it will flow better. I really like the Pitt pens, these brush pens, but I also, I mean, for example, I would never use them just on their own. I always use them in conjunction with other materials because, I don't know, I sort of feel they're a little bit tricky as well. They're kind of interesting, but it's like as I run out of these colours, will I replace them? I actually don't know at the moment because I feel like they don't actually last that long. Do any of you use these? Have you found this? That they seem to dry out quite quickly. That's given like an interesting base to work on top of. So I generally leave that to dry before I do anything on top of it. So what I'm going to do in the meantime, where's that indigo gone again? Okay, so with the dark indigo, I'm going to just add some more little not fields, hedges, that's the one. I don't know, I'm thinking possibly, I don't want anything too heavy because it's in the middle, it's quite dominant. I'm wondering actually whether to go for, I think I used dusky pink on this one, and I think the dusky pink was over the top of the pale pink Pitt pen, if I remember rightly. But what I might do with this one is just use the dusky pink on its own as a base. This is the Derwent Lightfast dusky pink, by the way. I always like to try to remember to tell you what I'm using, because I know when I'm watching other people, if they start using a colour that I really, really like but they haven't mentioned what it is, I'm trying to sort of pause the video, zoom in, and often because they're moving, you can't see the name very clearly anyway. And somebody, I forget what I was watching the other day, but they were using the most interesting looking paint, and I was so desperately trying to see what it said on the tube, and I kept trying to stop the video, and eventually I think I did find it, but and I believe it was Glacier Green, the Schminker super granulating, Schminkaridam super granulating, super granulation, I don't know what they're called. Some people call them super granulating, some super granulation. Anyway, the Glacier Green one of those watercolour paint, absolutely beautiful. I've added it to my basket on Jackson's for when I next have enough affiliate credit to place a little order. By the way, I haven't spoken much about this. Well, I have kind of said that I'm not going to be doing as many art hauls this year because I want to use the materials I have rather than constantly adding. But I am allowing myself to buy when I have enough affiliate credit. So what I'm trying to do is not purchase anything. Don't hold me to this, because it may be that I see something wonderful and I have the money and I decide to purchase it. But what I'm trying to do is, certainly for the time being, just use my Jackson's affiliate credit to buy what I need or anything I think is interesting and I want to experiment with it and show you. So I have been, because you lovely people spent quite a lot of money over the Christmas period and over the beginning of January, I guess because Jackson's had a lot of good offers and so on, and you've been using the link that I put in the description underneath the videos. Thank you so much, because I'd actually built up quite a bit of affiliate credit, way more than I had expected. I went on there and I saw it and it made me so happy, because it's like I can actually just treat myself to a few bits and pieces. And because I want to get into doing, I have some ideas basically for air dried clay creations, sculptures. I wouldn't call them sculptures. Anyway, I have some ideas. I used to do pottery evening classes absolutely years ago. I did them for 2 years. And I've really missed working with clay. Well, obviously I don't have a kiln or anything like that. I don't have all of that equipment, but I've been looking into air dry clay and I really want to get back into it. So I've spent some of the affiliate credit on different, I've bought some air dry clay, I've bought some other tools and bits and pieces. Anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of an art haul soon on YouTube to show you what I've got, and there will also be a couple of paints in there, but it's mainly stuff for making clay sculptures. I don't know what to call them. What's another word for sculpture? Sculpture sounds like I'm going to be standing there creating something that's absolutely massive. I'm not. I'm going to be working on smaller pieces. I don't want to say what yet because I want to experiment. I'm feeling a little bit shy, kind of thinking if I tell you what I'm going to make and then it doesn't turn out well, then, you know, that may not be a good idea, because then I won't want to show you. But basically, I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be sharing some of the process of me getting back into ceramics, and yeah, I'm quite excited about this, by the way. So yeah, I want to show you that. So I will have a little art haul coming up with a few interesting bits and pieces in it. And as I say, I have actually bought some paints with my affiliate credit too, but I will not tell you what because I want it to be a surprise in the art haul. But I think you're going to like them. I'm very excited about this, can you tell? Okay, so off camera, just to speed things up a bit, I decided to fill in this field here, and I also worked on this one. And what I did is I added some lines using the purple Dough Won't Light Fast pencil, which is actually a really warm shade of kind of plummy purple. It's a little bit more red. It kind of leans towards being a little bit more red than blue, I would say. And so it's a really nice colour. So basically just did really fine lines going diagonally across the field. And then I went over the top with some acrylic gouache. So as I said, I'm using the Holbein Acrylic Gouache. And I used shell pink and titanium white, mixed up a really pale pink, and just loosely brushed it over, and it's given this really nice texture. So it's a kind of similar thing to in the first video when I went over this field as well, because I started with pen, then layered pencil, and then obviously went over the top with the paint. So I'm really liking this effect. I may use it on some of the other fields. I'm thinking that perhaps I'm going to use it on this one over here. I'd quite like, I know I said I was going to fill in all the fields first, but I'd quite like to start adding some trees just to see how it's going to look. I mean, in this drawing here in my other sketchbook, I've actually added little trees sort of in the middle of the field there, which I quite like. And I really like this group of trees here. So I'm wondering whether to do something a little bit similar in this one. I'm kind of feeling like I want to add more paint over the top here as well. I'm not sure at the moment because I don't completely want to get rid of those marks. I wonder whether, let's just see if we can add, now what have we got here? This is the blue violet. Let's just do a little quick swatch of that. Oh, that really is quite violet, isn't it? I think I need something that is possibly, do we have one called Nightshade here or something like that? Did I keep that one in? I mean, I might potentially just use, because we have the Payne's Grey. I'm just using this scrap of paper. This was around the outside of the sketchbook. I'm just using this to kind of test things on and also put in here, so when I get to the edges I've got something to go onto, or I'm just constantly, my pencil's going off the edge of the sketchbook. Okay, that's quite a nice colour. It's so difficult. I find this really difficult on camera. I get kind of scared in case something goes wrong. I don't know why I'm so scared, frankly, because everyone does stuff that goes wrong, but there's something about drawing on camera that is just a little bit scary. I'm wondering if I do, no, that's going to be too purple. Nope, definitely not. Right, get rid of that colour. Let's see. Get the Payne's Grey. And then if I get the, where's it gone? In fact, what I might try and do, let's bring in one of these. Oh, it's jumped out. There we go. It wanted it to be this one. So that's the 10B. I wonder whether I can add a little trunk in there. Okay, I feel like we need to add more. What's this? The Payne's Grey 60%. I kind of feel like that one looks like, slightly like a shadow from that one, doesn't it? I quite like that actually. I don't know what to do about those ones that I put in the last video. I was going to add some trunks and so on there. I am wondering whether we switch to the ash blue. Let's give this a go. You can see how experimental this is, can't you? I'm just trying different things and seeing what I like, seeing what works. So I did this with my fingers before, but actually I've got this brush here, I went to just get this a moment ago, and I kind of like it because I can't be super precise with it, but it's giving me an element of control, which is good. Yeah, I like these trees, this colour, definitely. So you see, if you do something you don't like, the great thing about working in mixed media is you can pretty much cover it up. How's that looking through the camera? It's like sometimes I can get a better idea of what things look like when I view it from a distance, and when I look through the camera, it sort of gives me a bit of distance from the piece I'm working on. Yeah, I like this. It's got some nice texture going on too. So we'll do something over the top of this in a moment. Well, I hope we'll be able to. I'm not sure how much I can work over the top of the acrylic gouache. I'm kind of feeling like perhaps along here we could have, that could be this really nice blue. I'm going to give it some different tones in a moment, so not just going to be flat like this. Do we like this tree here? At this point, I wish you could answer me in real time as I'm doing it. I kind of feel like, do I like it? Do I like it? I just go over the top of it and I don't know. This is difficult. Sometimes this is where working from a reference photo would be useful, because I just don't know. I'm going to paint and not talk for a moment, because I think the talking is interfering with my brain decisions and my ability to speak English. Hi everyone, it's Editing Natasha here. For the last few minutes I decided to put this video on silent and also speed it up so you could see much more of the process, because you've already had nearly half an hour of me painting in real time and chatting to you, and I thought it would actually be quite helpful for you to see more of the process, because this piece, it was quite large. And it took me, I'm guessing, about 4 hours to complete. So you're seeing quite a lot of the process, but obviously you're not seeing all of it. So I thought I'd speed it up, and that way we can fit quite a long session into just a few minutes. And you get to see a little bit more of what I'm doing. Even if you can't see it in real time, you can kind of see the technique. For example, here I'm just adding the trees first with the Pitt artist pen. So you see all of these fields were built up with so many layers of different materials. The pen, the pencil, the paint. And at the end I'm going to show you some close-ups so you can get to see the textures and the marks and all the different layers of colour. I decided not to put music to this because I thought it would just be nice to have the silence and just me chatting now and again. Let me know what you're working on if you have me on in the background and you're working on one of your own projects, whether that's art or perhaps even something else. I know that quite a lot of you are into different crafts. I really love needle felting, by the way, and I'm going to be hopefully sharing some of that soon. Some of you may remember, if you've been following me for a fairly long time, that a couple of years ago, I think it was around the time of the first lockdown, that I started needle felting, and I really got into it. I started making little birds that were based on my own designs. They were kind of meant to be like the birds you see in my paintings sometimes, in three-dimensional form. So it was a lot of fun to do, but I was really slow at it because I was such a beginner. And I've been looking into it again recently because I bought all the needle felting equipment and I absolutely loved it. And it just so happened that my life got busier and busier. my art career got busier. My YouTube grew, and then I launched Patreon, and basically I ended up with no time to practice my needle felting. So just recently I've been trying to get back into that zone again. I've been looking things up on YouTube, watching other needle felters, and I have some really nice, I hope, ideas for what I want to do. So yeah, this year is going to be quite exciting because I'm not only going to be painting and drawing, but hopefully needle felting and making little clay objects too. I'm being very cagey about the clay, aren't I? But it's because it's very new and I'm not sure entirely what I'm going to be doing, even though I have some ideas. And it's a bit like that with the needle felting really as well. I have ideas, just whether I can actually bring them to fruition and kind of bring the idea that I have in my head into reality. But we will see. Anyway, yes, I'm going to be getting back into needle felting because I am going back to Suffolk hopefully soon. And I'll be spending a couple of weeks there, and it means that because I'll be doing less art, I'll have more time for needle felting. So watch this space, and patrons, you watch your space, or watch both spaces. You watch YouTube and Patreon. But yeah, I'm going to be sharing it there as well. So that will be quite exciting. I'll probably be sharing a little bit more of the needle felting with my patrons because I'm not sure how much interest there is in needle felting amongst my YouTube audience. Let me know. Do any of you needle felt? I'm very interested to hear if you do, and what do you make? I think that basically what I'm going to be working on, as I say, are my own designs rather than following somebody else's. It's great to get ideas from other people and see just how they do it and pick up some tips and so on. I just kind of feel like there aren't enough hours in the day or days in the week to do all of the creative things I want to do. I really love painting and drawing, but I would find it very hard, I think, to just stick to painting and drawing. I always want to do other things as well. I really enjoyed using this effect of adding lines to the fields and then going over the top with the acrylic gouache paint and just really, I don't know, doing it quite roughly so that I'm sort of leaving a lot of the texture and marks from the lines. It seemed to be really effective, so I'm really pleased that I have discovered that during working on this piece. And here I'm adding the little sheep. I did actually think I might add them in several fields, but in the end I just added a few in that top field there. I kind of felt like that looked like a sheep field. I really love adding all of these little details, like the little trunks and branches on the trees and so on. It kind of all adds to the texture. I love interesting marks as well in a piece, and I feel like all of this kind of adds to it. It also actually is not too tight. I'm actually amazed because now I've finished it, and you will get to see the finished piece at the end. I'm really pleased with how I managed to not be too precise, and I just loosened up a little bit. I mean, I think you can still see that it's my work, but I definitely loosened up. So here I'm just finishing those bottom fields and just adding a layer of pencil again to kind of start it off. And we've moved on a bit here. You can see that I've added lines to that field and filled in the one at the very bottom with pen, but they're going to have more layers. I'm just working on a little tree down here. Cool, if only I could draw that quickly in real life, eh? I get so much work done. I think we're probably coming up to the end shots now because I did the final bit off camera. I felt like this was getting so long and I just wanted to show you how it looked at the end. So we have a few close-ups here so you can see the texture and the different marks and the different colours. I love the layers of colour. See how effective that is with the paint over the lines. If you're still here at the end of this long video, leave a comment below saying, "I stayed till the end, Natasha," and I'll know that you're one of the select few who've made it all the way through. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you found this inspiring, or that it gave you some ideas that you can use in your own work. If you enjoyed it, please perhaps give it a thumbs up, because that would be great. That helps me out a lot. And I will see you again soon in the next video. Take care, everyone.